coming back to school with me. We could have done it all so easily.
Hi, my name is Craig Thompson Wood. I'm the board game teacher. Thanks for coming to the classroom. Today I'm going to take a look at a classic with a spin. So I was looking on my channel and I'm seeing that Cockroach Poker, the original Cockroach Poker, this little baby right here, and it's the same box too, is now my most watched, well it's not now, it has for a long time been my most watched video. It's now approaching about 3,000 views as of the date of recording this video, which is what, June 16th, June 17th? June 17th. 2019. So seeing as my video is so popular, I thought it would only be smart of me to check out Cockroach Poker Royal. Or Royal, I guess, if you're not trying to be so fancy about it. Cockroach Poker Royal. So I never did do a report card for Cockroach Poker because, like I said, it was one of my earliest videos. It was one of the very first videos I'd ever done. And I hadn't developed that idea for the report card yet. So let me give you the report card for Cockroach Poker and Cockroach Poker Royal. I think that they both fit under the same category. So in looking at the number of players for Cockroach Poker, I give it an A. And I give it the A because already the game plays from 2 to 6 players. Now, it says 2 players, but in my opinion, it's a terrible 2-player game. The very first time I ever played Cockroach Poker, true story, I played as a 2-player game and I never wanted to play it again. Not a 2-player game, 3 to 6 for sure. But now, 6 would normally be sort of in that B+ range. But the thing is with Cockroach Poker is it could be adapted to be in larger groups. So people could be discussing in groups, discussing the probabilities, discussing things and sharing their ideas as a group before finally committing to their final answer. I still have the dream in my heart where I want to do this in the SAMR model, if you know the SAMR thing, and I want to go sort of way beyond. I want to actually still organize a Cockroach Poker Royal game worldwide. And I want to do it where it's my class as one team versus like 5 other classes around the world. And it'd be great if we could have like 6 different countries represented in the game. I mean, if the first time I do it, I get people in 1 or 2 countries, including Canada, great. Even if within the Peel board, great. As long as we're just starting to get to that point. But as I say, my dream is to go beyond that. So that's been my long-winded answer. It's a 6-player game, great, but it also can be modified for larger groups. That's why I give it the A. For learning, I'm going to give the game an A. I think the game is fantastic for teaching probabilities. When you're looking at things, you can really break it down into probabilities of the cards. Because you have a knowledge of what is out there, what's in your hand, you can really break down the probabilities. There's just so much you can do with this game, and it's such a great, fun way to learn probabilities that, so when you're taking something that's such a difficult concept that usually is done in such a boring way, i.e. spinners, and then teaching it in a way like this, where the kids are so excited to do it, fantastic. And the way that it teaches it, and then you apply it, the learning directly and easily to the game itself, and then they're motivated to learn it because by learning it, then they are becoming more likely to win. It's an all-around win. A. For fun, I'm going to give the game an A+. Like I said, everybody I have introduced this game to loves it. I have not yet met anybody who said they played Cockroach Poker and they think it's okay. If they do, I would ask how many people they played with, because like I said, the first time I played it with 2, hated it. So anybody I have ever played this with larger numbers, 3 and up, I've always loved this game, and so I think it's a big hit with everybody, and so therefore I give it the A+. For time, I'm going to give the game an A. It says it plays between 15 to 25 minutes, and I think that's about right. I had one group that was taking especially long, but they were overthinking things, and as I was trying to get them to discuss the probabilities of things, they were just taking a long time and doing that too. But overall, a game can be done easily in 25 minutes. And the setup time is very quick, the cleanup time is very quick, so overall, your whole playing time, you can play certainly once in a standard 40-minute period, possibly twice if you're very quick about it. For cost, I'm going to give the game an A+. $9.95, like $10. I mean, that's pretty unheard of in board game terms. For a small deck of cards, and that's all it is to it, but still, for the amount of fun you get out of this game, I mean, you talk about getting your value of a game by how much you play it. I have certainly well more got my value out of this game. For the amount of time I've played it, to the amount of money I paid for it, it's a definite win. So you are definitely going to get your money's worth out of this little box right here. So A plus for sure. All right, let's take it to the table and I'll show you how it's played. So in a standard deck of Cockroach Poker Royal, you're going to have 65 cards. Now in original Cockroach Poker you had 64, so what's the difference here? Well, if you know Cockroach Poker, then the first difference you're going to find between Cockroach Poker and Cockroach Poker Royal is obviously you have royals. So there's a crown suit now, but you're also missing the spiders. They also have these two things down here. Now there's only one of these cards and one of these cards, and I'll explain those a little bit later, but for my purposes, actually, I just even remove those from the game. It's just I find it confusing for my grade 5 students. I think that's a little bit too confusing, and I enjoy the game without those rules anyway. So those I treat as an optional. So the royals. So you're going to have 8 cards of each of the 7 different critters. So you have your cockroaches, you have your toads, you have your bats, your rats, your flies, your stink bugs as normal, but you're also going to now get these royals. So you're going to have a king rat, you're going to have a king stink bug, you're going to have a king spider, and where's my favorite? Where's my favorite? Where is he? Oh, look at that. King toad. Isn't he beautiful? So let's just put these away for now, and let me just give you a quick demonstration of how the game goes. So when you're playing the game, everybody is dealt, you deal out the whole deck of cards as evenly as possible. If there's any cards left over, you remove them from the game. For my purposes in a grade 5 classroom, I might have a few cards, like if I need to make the decks even for everybody, I'll put the cards that are not being played face up. That way the students have some knowledge of the cards that are out and that therefore not possible to be in anybody's hands. So at the start of the game, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass somebody a card. And then you can pass it to anybody at the table, and I'm going to pass them a card, and I'm going to say what the card is. Now, do I have to tell the truth? No, and that's part of the game. So I'm passing them this card, and I might say to them, this is a cockroach. At this point, the person has 3 options. They can agree, yes, it is a cockroach. They can disagree, no, it's not a cockroach, or they can pass. If they choose to pass, they're allowed to look at the card, and then they pass it to another player who has not already seen the card, so they obviously couldn't pass it back to me. I am now off the hook. So if this person passes it to the person over here, it's now between them. I'm no longer involved with this transaction. So I said it's a cockroach. So now if this person doesn't have any cockroaches in their hand, doesn't see any cockroaches out here, it's quite likely it could be a cockroach. So they may say, yes, it's a cockroach. So if they say, yes, it's a cockroach, then we flip it over and check. But if they maybe have some cockroaches in their hand, or if there are cockroaches displayed, which in this case there's not, then they would say, no, it's not a cockroach. So if they say, no, it's not a cockroach, we flip it over and they are correct. So whether they said yes or no, it matters whether or not they are correct. If they say, yes, it's a cockroach, no, it's not a cockroach. So if they say, no, it's not a cockroach, the card comes back to me, and I now have to play another card. If they said, yes, it is a cockroach, and it's not a cockroach, they're wrong, they have to keep the card. Once they have 4 cards in front of them of the same suit, so if they had that, one more stink bug means that they're out of the game. So now I may pass them a card, and I can say, this is a royal. So now it doesn't matter what kind of royal it is. It could be a royal cockroach, a royal rat, a royal toad, a royal stink bug, a royal fly. It can be any kind of royal. So they may say, no, it's not a royal, in which case it is a royal stink bug. So that is still a stink bug, and that will then be their 4th stink bug. Once one person has 4 cards, they are out of the game, they lose, everybody else wins, game is over. And that's one thing I do like about the game too, is that there's no player elimination. That makes, because player elimination just sucks. So let me just set up a quick round here and show you what this might look like. So let's set up this hypothetical game here for 4 people. So if 4 people are in this situation, and these are the cards that I have left, then I might be looking to somebody, remembering that I want to be giving people cards to make sure that they are eliminated from the game. So this person has 2 toads, but in my hand I have 2 toads, so maybe I want to pass them a toad and get them out. I have to be careful about getting more stink bugs, and they have this. So, but maybe I'll just pass one across here, and I'll say to them, this is a rat. So that they have to then decide whether or not it's a rat. Now, the fact that they have a rat suddenly makes it more likely. So this gets into some interesting X factors in the probabilities, where the actual probability, the mathematical probability, will be one thing, but when you factor in the fact that you have certain cards, it suddenly becomes more likely. Like if I was passing this person a card and say this is a toad, they'd probably feel safe in knowing it's not a toad, because if I had a toad, I'd probably be passing it this way to try and get this person out. So, but I said this is a rat, and they're going to say, no, it's not. So they reveal, and it's not, it's a cockroach. So it comes back to me. I now have to go again. So now I'm going to pass this person a card, and I'm going to say, this is a stink bug. Now this person has a stink bug, but they have two toads. They know it's far more likely that it's a toad. So they'll say, no, it's not a stink bug, and it's not a stink bug, so now it's a toad, and I got stuck with a toad. So the game goes around like this, and what is interesting, and I'm not going to go into major depth about this, but you get into the statistical mathematical probabilities of the cards. What is the actual probability of it being the card that the person is telling me it is? So in a situation like this, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 stink bugs already showing. Remember, there's also a royal stink bug, so that means there's 5 more stink bugs out there. So depending on how many stink bugs I have in my hand, or it suddenly makes it makes it less likely with so many stink bugs showing to be a stink bug. But you get into that mathematical probability, but you're also getting into that X factor probability. You know, whether the person never lies. Maybe a person never tells the truth. Maybe a person, you know, how many cards you have, you know, make it more likely, a toad more likely coming to you or now to me than anybody else, because we already have 2 of each and the people want us to lose. It's all these different things that start to come into play that makes the game so interesting, so that the probabilities is, look at it from the mathematical perspective, but also factoring in that whole game perspective of what makes sense and what are the other players at the table doing that help to factor in the probabilities. I just find this game so fascinating, and this is, you know, the kids love it so much because of those things, and it's just, there's always excitement and cheering. One last thing I should mention too is the other way that you go out. So one way to go out is if you get 4 of one kind. So if I got 4 toads, I'm out of the game. Everybody else wins. The other way to go out is if I keep getting stuck and I have lots of cards in front of me. I don't want a 3rd toad, so I have lots of cards in front of me, and I keep getting my cards sent back, keep making the wrong choices, and say I have like 1 card left, and I pass it to somebody, and I say, this is a scorpion, and they say, no, it's not. Or say, well, say they get me, and it comes back to me. Now I have no cards, and I have to pass a card to somebody because it's my turn. I'm out. At that moment where I have to pass a card, I'm out. Now, if I'd passed this card to them and said, this is a scorpion, and they say, no, it's not, and it is, I'm still in. I have 0 cards, but I'm still in. All it takes now is somebody to pass me a card, and I get it wrong, and then it's my turn to pass, and I can't pass, and now I've lost. So you don't lose when you have 0 cards, you only lose when you have 0 cards, and somebody makes you pass a card back again. So that can be kind of exciting if a person just hangs on by their fingernails at that last moment. They have 0 cards, but they're still in the game. That can make for exciting moments. And that is Cockroach Poker Royal. Oh, and I almost forgot to tell you about these 2 cards here. These 2 cards are a little bit weird. This one here is any animal. It's like a wild card. Is it a cockroach? Yes. Is it a rat? Yes. Is it a fly? Yes. Is it a stink bug? Yes. It's anything. But what it is not is royal. So if you say this is a royal, that's the only time, if you say that when you pass this card, if somebody says, yes, it's a royal, they're wrong, and they take it. This one is always wrong. So is it a royal? No. Is it a rat? No. Is it a cockroach? No. Is it a toad? No. It's none of those things. But so if I say this is a toad, and you say, yes, it is, no, it's not. It's a nothing. So I don't, these cards, I guess you're not going to get 4 of these. I think they just go to make you try and, pass off the others. So the other person suddenly has to start passing around cards. Yeah, like I said, I tend to leave these out of the game. I'm not a big fan. But if you choose to use them, that's up to you. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Cockroach Poker Royal. If you have any questions about the game or you have any ideas for games you might like to see on the channel, please leave me a message in the comment section below. If you have any other suggestions for topics you might like me to discuss, pedagogical theories or ideas, if you have any knowledge of conferences coming up that you might think I'd like to apply to speak at, or if you'd like me to speak at your conference that you're organizing, please, again, leave me a message in the comment section below. And please, before you go, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. And until next time, I'm Craig Thompson with the Board Game Teacher saying, thanks for coming to the classroom.
Are you coming back to school?